Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Paula Gutierrez, and I am a financial aid specialist at the Mount SAC Financial Aid Office. Today, we're going to focus on what happens next, what happens after you submit your application, what to do if you have special circumstances that you need to address with our office, and the importance of submitting your application every year. Here's another overview over the different topics that we will be talking about. We're going to talk about checking your status, reviewing your offer, census date, also known as the freeze date, special circumstances, receiving your aid, satisfactory academic progress, scholarships, and the importance of applying every year. Let's get started with checking your status. Your Mount SAC student portal is going to be your best friend. This is where you're going to be able to check your financial aid status, know if there's any requirements that we need from you. We need you to maybe complete documents, bring documents to our office, and you're going to know this by checking the financial aid requirements section. Anything with an X requires your attention right away. Anything with a green check mark means that it has been satisfied. You are able to complete forms online either through Adobe Sign or through ProEd. So if you have any emails from ProVerify or ProEd, don't delete those. Those emails are coming from our office. This is the third party that we work with to help you complete your documents online. Let's talk about the student portal a little bit more. This is where, again, you can complete your forms electronically. Some of the common forms that you may be able to complete electronically are the verification worksheet, the IRS tax return transcript, identity and educational purpose statement, and bachelor's resolution. If you are selected for identity and educational purpose statement, this is a form that you won't be able to complete electronically. You will need to visit us in person. You can fill it out in our office in front of one of our admins, where you will need to bring a government issued ID that is not expired, and we will be able to identify that it is you who is applying for financial aid. This process is to prevent fraud, so it does require you to be with us in person. Dependent students must have a parent e-signature on their financial aid application. And just like their financial aid application, their verification documents will also need that e-signature. So you will add your parent's email address, they will get a copy of the form, and they will be able to e-sign your documents as well. The Mount SAC student portal will also allow, besides allowing you to submit your documents on there, may also notify you that there are documents that you need to email directly to our office. So our email is listed on the screen for you. That is financialaid@mountsac.edu. Common requirement or forms that you may need to complete either in person or by email are the citizenship verification. So if you're not able to email this or you're not comfortable emailing it, you can bring in the verification for citizenship. Could be your US passport, your naturalization certificate, permanent resident card, potentially a name or social security number resolution if you had a name change. So if you see any of these forms, you can either bring them in person or email them directly to our office. If you're having a difficulty with any of the requirements, you're more than welcome to contact our office and we'd be happy to explain to you how to submit or how to complete the process. The next thing you want to do is you want to review your offer. You want to check your aid offer on your Mount SAC portal. And I do apologize if the screenshots are a little blurry, but hopefully you get the idea of what it looks like on your end. Under the financial aid requirements section, you want to click on financial aid status. You want to then select the correct aid year. So for example, if you're selecting summer, you want to know what you're eligible for summer, you would be selecting the 2022-2023 aid year. If you're checking for fall, you would be selecting the 2023-2024 aid year. And after you've selected your aid year, you'll see a summary and you're going to click on the word offered. The word offered is going to be a hyperlink. that you will be able to click on to review your offer overview. When you're checking your aid, it's important that you know that some aid is prorated based on enrollment. For example, the Pell Grant. So Pell Grant, when you see it on your end, you're going to see an amount that is reflective of full-time. But if you're not going to be full-time, then at the time that we release the funding, the amount is going to get reduced. It's going to get prorated based on your enrollment. If you want to plan accordingly and you want to know exactly how much you'll be receiving because you're not going to be full-time, the only way to find that out is by calling us and letting us know what your plans are so we can give you an idea of what the amount would actually look like based on the number of units you're going to be taking. Make sure that you review the summary of your financial aid eligibility for the right school year. And remember that some aid is not included until all financial aid requirements are met. That's why it's so important that you check that financial aid requirements tab. And if you see anything with a red X, want to submit it as soon as possible. Here's a sample annual financial aid offer. This sample annual financial aid offer is for a student that is full need. That means that they qualify for all sources of funding and for the maximum amount. On the right side, you see a sample annual amount at cost. These are fixed costs. Those are the ones based on tuition, parking fee, mandatory fees, and the textbooks. That's not a fixed cost. That varies because it'll depend on how many classes you're taking and how you're purchasing your books. Are you buying new books? Are you buying used books? Are you purchasing ebooks? So on the right side, you get an estimate so students can plan accordingly. On your end, your cost of attendance may be a higher amount. That's not the amount that you're paying. That cost of attendance is listed just to help you plan so that you know or you have an idea of what things to look out for when you're planning for each academic year. Because remember, it goes beyond your tuition. You also need to plan for your gas, your transportation to get to campus. You also want to plan for your personal expenses, for your room and board. You're going to be living at home and not paying rent. Great. But if you're going to be moving out and paying rent, then you want to plan for all those things so that when you're in school, you're not having to worry about those things. And then you want to compare them to your financial aid offer to see if you're going to have enough money to cover your expenses, or if you're not going to have enough money and you're going to need to maybe borrow student loans or maybe pick up part-time employment to help you meet all of your expenses. Okay, now let's move on to the census date, which is also known as the freeze date. The census date is a snapshot of a student's enrollment for financial aid. So every semester, we will take a snapshot of what you're enrolled in, and that will help us determine the awards that you're actually eligible for. Why is this important? Because maybe at the beginning you're excited and you sign up for, let's say, 12 units, but then first week of school comes by and you realize, you know what, I'm not going to be able to complete all 12 units. I'm going to have to take less classes, and then you drop them. Well, we have to know exactly how many units you're sticking to. So there's a date where you can no longer add or drop classes on your student portal. On that date, we will snapshot what your enrollment looks like. And if you receive financial aid for a higher amount because you were supposed to be full-time, we will adjust it to reflect the correct amount. Some students may owe money. Some students will just see a smaller amount dispersed on their second and third disbursements. You want to make sure that you're viewing your schedule receipt. Here's an example of what that looks like. This will tell you what we took a snapshot at during the census or freeze date. If you have any questions or want to figure out what's going to happen because you dropped classes, the best way is to contact our office over the phone, meet us in person or virtually to discuss your enrollment and financial aid. Special circumstances. So we understand that not every student has a cookie cutter situation. We understand that things change, income changes, so we're more than happy to address any special circumstances that you may have. Student and parent personal and financial circumstances can change. So that may need a change of income appeal. So this appeal is submitted if now parent or student are unemployed Maybe they have they're working less hours. Maybe parents separated after you completed the application. And that would require us to revisit your financial aid application to ensure that the financial aid offer that you're receiving is accurate and reflective of your most current circumstances. Remember, this is only if something changed after you submitted the application, because when you're submitting the application, you should be reporting what is true at that time. Unemployment, that could be a little more tricky. You might have been unemployed before, now reemployed, or maybe employed and then unemployed at different times. So if you're not sure whether a change of income is the best course of action for you, just call us and we'd be happy to give you more information. Change of dependency. The application will ask you questions to help it determine whether you're dependent or independent. However, some students may not be able to answer accordingly based on the questions that are asked, or maybe the questions aren't asking more detailed information. So, in order for us to be able to accurately determine your dependency status or override what either the FAFSA or DREAM application determine, it's important for you to talk to our office and potentially have to do a change of dependency appeal. If approved, we may be able to override the student from being dependent and considering them independent for financial aid purposes. Reviewing your aid. Make sure that you understand your financial aid payment schedule. We do not release all of your financial aid at the beginning of the semester. At Mount SAC, we release your financial aid in 3 disbursements. The first disbursement includes 20% of your financial aid, and it is released a week before classes start. The second disbursement is released the second month of classes, and you will be getting the next 40%. And then the final disbursement is released the third month of classes, and you will also be receiving 40% at that time. This is done to ensure that students are budgeting and planning accordingly for the semester. On student tab number 27, you will be able to view your statement and payment history. You will be able to view student account activity informations. You'll be able to see your fees and your financial aid payments that have been applied. It's important that you make a refund selection and you do this on your Bank Mobile. Bank Mobile is the third-party vendor that we work with. This is the business that will help us get your refunds in your hands. So you have to make a Bank Mobile account and let them know whether you want your refund through a paper check, direct deposit, or if you don't have an existing bank account, you could create a Bank Mobile account. They will send you a debit card and you will be able to access your funds that way. A refund happens only when the financial aid that you're getting is greater than the expenses or your cost, okay? So if there's leftover money, we need to get that money to you. So make sure that you make your refund preference. Otherwise, the school will hold on to your money for a few months and then send you a paper check, okay? If you're getting a paper check, make sure that your address on file is accurate, so it is sent to the right address. Let's talk about satisfactory academic progress. As a student, you need to meet satisfactory academic progress requirements, also known as SAP. Okay, you want to make sure that you maintain a cumulative GPA of at least 2.0. You want to make sure that you're completing at least 67% of all attempted units. That means that you're completing at least 67% of the courses that you're enrolling in. You're not dropping too many classes, failing too many classes, or getting too many incompletes. If you don't meet any of these requirements, then you could possibly be suspended from financial aid. Lastly, you want to complete your program within 150% of the published length. So most associate degree programs are 60 units, but the school gives you 150%. That is 90 units. Students may not exceed 90 units to complete an associate degree program. If you need more than 90 units to complete your program, and remember, this is an example because each degree may vary depending on the number of units required for it. So let's say the student can't complete their degree within 90 units, they would be suspended and they would have to let the school know why they need more units to complete their degree, which is in the form of an appeal. So let's talk about the appeal. Because if you're not meeting the GPA, you're not meeting any of those, you may need to do an appeal. But before that, if you're not sure where to check your SAP status, you're going to do it on your MountSAC student portal. You can go under SAP status to check whether you're satisfactory, you're meeting SAP, you're on a warning, you're suspended, or you're on probation. You get a warning the first time that you're not meeting any of those requirements. After that warning, if you're not meeting the standards after that semester, then you would be suspended. Okay? So if you at any point are not meeting the SAP requirements, you can always appeal. You always have the option to submit an appeal. The appeal is completed online on the MountSAC Financial Aid website in the forums section. And this QR code takes you to our forums section where you can find the appeal. You would work with our office if you have any questions on how to submit the appeal and what the requirements look like for that appeal. If your appeal is approved, then you regain financial aid eligibility. If your appeal is denied, then you will need to work on your academics and regain eligibility for financial aid. Okay, now let's talk about scholarships. So MountSAC has a huge scholarship program where we have over $400,000 in scholarships available to our students. You can access this scholarship every spring semester. It opens and it's available to any students enrolled at MountSAC during the spring. If you want to be one of the first to know when that application is open, I recommend that you request email updates on the website so that if there's anything special happening with scholarships, you're one of the first to know. This is where you're going to be able to find information on the AS Book Scholarship that doesn't require an essay, and any other scholarships that may be open and you could potentially be eligible for. So definitely check out the website and request email updates so you're in the know. Most importantly, you want to make sure that you're applying for financial aid every year. So some students think, oh, I submitted my financial aid application once, so now MountSAC knows that I need financial aid or that I want financial aid, and they will give me financial aid next year. Unfortunately, that's not how it happens. You have to apply every year. You have to renew your application. You want to make sure that you're submitting your application by the priority deadline of March 2nd so that you can have the best chances of being considered for all sources of aid. And you want to make sure that you're including our school code on each of your applications each year. If you don't apply, then we don't know you're interested in financial aid. And remember, unless we tell you you're not eligible, there's no way for you to know ahead of time whether you're going to be eligible or not. These are free applications that you should be submitting each year, regardless of what you believe the outcome will be. And if you have any questions on completing the applications, we have the Financial Aid 101 video, we have the video on how to apply, and we have other simulation videos on our website that go through these applications step by step. Remember that we have summer support available to our STEP students, but if any of those hours don't meet with your schedule, or don't align with your schedule, then you're more than welcome to contact our office in person, over the phone, or virtual assistance. We'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions and support you in your educational journey. Thank you for joining me today. You have a great day.